We developed the oversuck as a fall prevention device, but it can also be used to detect falls. But really what we want is to prevent falls, and we want to prevent falls because falls are quite detrimental to older people's quality of life. And one of the biggest reasons is that only a third of people go back to independent living, and what we really want is to keep people living at home for longer, where they're happiest. So we've created an oversuck that's an electronic textile, and it's been created to detect falls and near falls being imbalances that people can correct.
So within the oversock is an inertial motion unit embedded within a yarn. This can measure acceleration and angular velocity. That data can be used to identify whether someone's had a fall, a near fall, or they're just walking around. And we process that using an artificial intelligence algorithm to determine how they've been moving. So the ultimate aspiration would be for the NHS and other healthcare providers to use the sock as a risk assessment for older people. So as people get older, they become at greater risk of falling, and being able to have them wear the sock and then identify whether they're at risk of falling will allow healthcare providers to provide adequate care for people to live in their homes for longer.